Hello friends, it is 2024 and one of my big goals for this year is to fill out a completed sketchbook because I have never done that before. I have so many partially filled sketchbooks that had no real intention behind them, just a bunch of random scribbly drawings in them that I never finished. So this year I really wanted to fill out a completed one to help just get me in the habit of drawing more regularly, to improve my art, and to have a space where I can experiment. So I went ahead and I picked up this Canson Mixed Media sketchbook, and this year we are going to fill this out. If you're new to my channel, please don't forget to subscribe. I'm Rachel, a mostly self-taught multimedia artist, sharing my artist journey and what I've learned along the way. I honestly was a little bit nervous to start this sketchbook. That first page can be really daunting, but I remembered that one of my goals for this was to have fun. And lately I've been doing a lot of these black and white ink studies, but if you know me, you know my real passion is color. So I decided I was going to redo one of these studies and make it really colorful for this first page. Something that I've gotten in the practice of doing for my drawings is creating a mood or a reference board beforehand. So here I gathered my reference photo from Unsplash and then also just some color mood photos that I wanted to try and incorporate into this first drawing. If you want to see a video in the future on how I create reference boards, let me know in the comments. That's something I've been thinking about making. Getting started, I lightly sketched out my drawing, so I'm trying to work a little bit faster and looser here. I usually work pretty tight and detail-oriented in my drawings, and I want to try and get away from that a little bit, and I want to use this sketchbook as a way to practice that. So here I am just sketching out my design. I decided I was going to go ahead and incorporate some tropical flowers. I just really like adding flowers to my animal drawings. It just gives me more opportunity to add color, and I think it makes it a little bit more interesting. Once I have my sketch finished, I like to lighten it up using a kneaded eraser before going over it with ink. I'm using the Faber Castel Pitt pens for my ink, and again I'm trying to work a little bit looser than I usually would here, but I really like these pens because they don't smudge and they don't bleed and they hold up really well with other mediums because they're waterproof, so I can use them with my colored pencils, watercolors, alcohol markers. So these are usually what I use to do my line work. I am a fan of using black lines in my art. That's something I might be trying to get away from a little bit, but I like that kind of stylized look generally, so we're using it. Now that the line art's done, it is time to get to coloring. I was originally planning on doing this in colored pencil, but by this time it was starting to get pretty late and I really just wanted to knock this out. So I decided to go ahead and grab my Arteza everblend alcohol markers, which I have been using a lot this year. Lately I've been using them mostly under colored pencil, but we're just knocking this one out completely in marker, and I was trying to find ways to work kind of as quickly as I possibly could here. So we got a little bit experimental, but I think it turned out okay. You may have noticed I added a piece of paper underneath this page that I'm working on. It's just a piece of tracing paper because I realized that these markers might be bleeding through and I didn't want to ruin the next page. So I added that under there. Tracing paper is really cheap and it's a good way to stop markers from bleeding. So if that's something you struggle with, try it out. As far as placing where the colors go, I just kind of determined that I wanted my yellows to be where the lightest colors would be, and then my darker blues to be where the darker areas would be, and blend in a transition from there. If you're wondering why I chose to draw a jellyfish, they are one of my favorite animals to draw. I've done jellyfish art in the past, and drawing this made me want to actually do a lot more. I think their folds are just like really fun and challenging to draw. They're also just one of my favorite animals in general. They're super fascinating. For example, jellyfish don't have all the things that we usually think about animals having. Like, they're missing some of their organs, including hearts and lungs. They don't have those. They also don't have a singular brain. Instead of a brain, they have a network of nerves. And of course, my favorite jellyfish fun fact is that even though, well, most jellyfish have a pretty short lifespan ranging from anywhere from a few hours to a few months or years, there are some jellyfish that are actually biologically immortal, which basically means that they can revert to their polyp or infant stage and start their whole life cycle over again. And as far as we know, they can do this an infinite amount of times, preventing themselves effectively from passing away from old age, which is pretty interesting if you ask me. Alright, so here we have the final drawing. It's a little bit different than what I originally had pictured, but that's okay. Again, this was to experiment and have fun, so we did it. Well, that's all for today. If you liked this video, don't forget to give it a like and let me know in the comments. You can also let me know if there's any videos you would like to see me make in the future. And if you're not already, don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Until next time, happy creating!